Hey everybody, we've got a great one today. Again. Fooled you, huh? Hey, I've done great ones before. It's just that we're coming off a run of very weak ones. But this one breaks the streak. We have Dee Taylor, who runs the ground organization for Unite Here. Unite Here is a labor union which represents 300,000 working people. Their members work in hotel, gaming, food service, manufacturing, laundry, transportation. These are working people, and I know them from the culinary workers in Nevada. I saw their operation there for Harry Reid back in 2010, and again, these are working people. They knock on doors, and they talk to folks. And 1,700 of them did that this year in Nevada, Arizona, Florida, and Pennsylvania. And now they have 600 canvassers in Georgia. And I've been encouraging you all to help them out because you know the stakes of this runoff in Georgia. Control of the Senate, which will determine whether Joe Biden will be able to work with Congress, confirm his executive appointments. There's 2,000 positions that have to be confirmed by the Senate, and that doesn't include judges. Will President Biden be able to fill a Supreme Court vacancy if, say, Justice Breyer decides to retire, or will Mitch McConnell pull another Merrick Garland? And how about our agenda on health care, climate, the tax code, labor rights, voting rights? Georgia is the finish line for 2020, and the stakes could not be higher. You know, I want to thank you. Unite Here has 600 canvassers on the ground, and that's because of the resources that they use to pay for this. They have been hit especially hard because of COVID in terms of jobs. At one point, they had 95% unemployment in Nevada. Now it's about 75% nationwide. My PAC, my Political Action Committee, gave very early to their operation in Nevada. We were the first to give in Georgia. They are limited only by the resources, and I want to thank you. I've been shamelessly asking for my listeners to support them, and between you and some of my other supporters, we have raised over $100,000. Here's how you can give again, or give for the first time. Go to actblue.com and type in Take Back 2020. And this is not a persuasion campaign. This is a turnout campaign. Everyone in Georgia has been targeted with ads for a year now. They're sick of political ads. Imagine having to be inundated with political ads through November 3rd, and now, because of the runoffs, for another 2 solid months. No. People know who they want to vote for. They target low-propensity voters and turn them out. Normally, you have a 7-8% response on the door, folks who will talk to you, who want to talk to you. It's been 38% in Georgia since November 3rd. People are hurting. But Republicans are making it harder to vote, and Unite Here is helping folks make a plan to vote and helping them vote. And you know the stakes. Our country is in a bad place right now. A very bad place. When 2020 started, we had the largest disparities in wealth and income in the developed world. Then our response to COVID-19 has been the worst in the developed world. The House passed a COVID relief bill in May, but the Senate under Mitch McConnell just hasn't acted. They're negotiating as I record this. I'm doing this on Friday morning. Hopefully they'll agree to something. I guess the one sticking point right now is the size of the tax break for Elaine Chao's family. I think that's what's holding it up now. We will have a new president soon. Mitch McConnell's goal will be to make him a one-term president. The runoffs in Georgia on January 5th are huge. And my guest today, Dee Taylor, is leading the fight on the ground to win it. You're going to really, really like this guy. We've got a great one today. You know, again. What does D stand for? D?
It stands for Donald, but I was named after my father, and my mother said she wasn't going to have two of those in the house. And, she, we ended up, obviously she was a single mother, sometime in my early childhood. So I got the name D as a nickname, but that's just been my name forever.
Okay, well, D. And you go D period Taylor.
Yep.
Okay, well, D. What states were you in during the general?
We were in Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Florida. Those 4 states.
And Nevada, Arizona, incredibly close. You're in Unite here, but are you originally culinary workers in Nevada?
Well, the Culinary Workers is one of the locals in Unite here. I came out of the Culinary Workers. That's our largest local. That's the local I came out of and I used to run.
And famously, one of the best anyway, ground games in the country. And I know this from Harry's races that the Culinary Workers in Nevada considered the state of the art or the best. It's not state of the art, it's you knock on doors, but you do other stuff too. So in Arizona, in Pennsylvania, in Florida, that was Unite Here folks from other than the Culinary Workers, right?
Oh, yeah. Even in Nevada, in Reno, we have many folks who come from the state of Washington or California. We have a big operation in Reno. Our local's we're not as big in Reno as we are in Las Vegas. In Arizona, we had folks from California, Arizona, Chicago, Baltimore. In Florida, we had folks from up and down the East Coast and the South. And in Pennsylvania, we had the similar thing. So we view it as a Unite Here effort in all 4 of those states. We pull from housekeepers, cooks, bartenders, waitresses, cocktail servers, porters, bellmen from all over the country. And this year, if there's any upside to the large unemployment in our industry, we had a lot of folks able to do it and willing to do it, which is great.
And you guys, when I say you're on the ground, you were knocking on doors. I know that the Biden campaign largely refrained from door knocking to model caution during COVID, but you guys were on the doors and you took precautions, but were incredibly effective. Tell me about that. Tell me about Pennsylvania, too, in terms of the turnout. You mainly were focused on Philadelphia, but tell me about what you guys did, how you approached COVID, how you approached the doors.
Well, our experience is to win, you need a 3-legged stool. You have to do like the mail and the TV and the phone calls, but the door-to-door is really key, particularly for low propensity voters. Those folks who are often left out of polls, who are not targeted, but who are registered voters and need some convincing. And also you need to answer questions. But before we did that this time with COVID-19, we had hired epidemiologists and industrial hygienists about how to do this safely. So we started back in July in Arizona, in early August in Nevada. And just for the record, it's 115 on the street day in and day out in Phoenix for quite some time. And same thing in Nevada. But with our health and safety protocols, which were very, very strict, as they're strict right now here in Atlanta, we had over 1,700 canvassers between Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Florida without anybody contracting COVID. We feel very, very proud about that. And we're doing the same protocols here in Atlanta right now.
For example, no one rides in a car together. If you have a canvasser, a lot of them are from out of state. They get hotel rooms. No one shares a hotel room, which normally would have been the case, right? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's added, obviously, expenses. No shared cars. Obviously, everybody's masked up. We take masks with us. So if somebody comes to the door, if they don't have a mask, we have, those disposable masks for them, 6 feet apart. We are very strict about not only rides, but about meetings. When we do have meetings, they're socially distant. And, that becomes challenging as the weather gets worse. Like today in Atlanta, we have a meeting at 10 o'clock this morning, but that's all necessary. And also we have a health and safety sort of ombudsman in each group to make sure people are following the protocols, not just while they're doing canvassing and working at Unite here, but also off duty too, because we all know that can lead to horrendous problems.
Of course. Now, Unite Here members have very high unemployment. I think culinary workers in Nevada had, like, currently are about 75% unemployment. Is that right?
In Nevada, it's a little bit better because the casinos are generally open. But when the pandemic hit, our industry, the hospitality industry, hotels, casinos, stadiums, arenas, cafeterias, we had about 98% unemployed. To this day, between the U.S. and Canada, we are still at 75, 80% unemployed. And it varies a little bit city by city, depending on where that state is or where that city is. But it's been devastating. And we understand that in order to get our folks back to work, we've got to get the pandemic under control. And that's why we were really focused. And one of the many reasons we were focused on getting Donald Trump knocked out of office. That guy has abandoned ship. I mean, frankly, I think he should be charged with at least manslaughter, since we have 300,000 people dead. And that administration's just given up the last few months. And you've seen the effect of that. I mean, we have hundreds of our members who have died from COVID, be they in New York, LA, Las Vegas, San Francisco, Minneapolis. It's a tragedy that did not have to occur as badly. And we feel that we need to have a change. We need to have a national response to the pandemic. You can't do it city by city or state by state. The virus doesn't work that way. But our members have been devastated by that. And they have a double whammy. I was just talking to some of our members here in Atlanta yesterday. Their unemployment runs out at the end of this month. And then there's eviction notice. So this election has practical meaning to them right now to try to make sure we win these 2 seats in Georgia. So real economic relief can be done on the short term and in the long term for workers.
I think the charge would be negligent homicide is what I think it should be. But anyway, so tell me about the people that are working. I mean, because you have such high unemployment, you have these people who are coming from all over the country to be in Georgia. This is all about Georgia. This is about the control of the Senate. And this is why I have you on, because I want my listeners to understand the stakes here and actually to contribute if they can. And I know a lot of my listeners have contributed this cycle to a lot of races, some successfully, some not so successfully. This is the finish line. Don't stop 2 inches from the finish line. So just tell me what your folks are doing on the ground there, what the response they're getting is, and who the folks are that are doing this on the ground.
Well, first, who's doing it, which I think is really the most important in a way. These are housekeepers, cooks, bartenders, servers, all the people you see in hotels or casinos and cafeterias. Some are working, most are laid off. And I really want folks to think about this. During the holiday season, no matter what religion you practice, it's a time for family and loved ones. They have uprooted themselves and moved to Atlanta. In fact, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, they came here. And they're here through at least January 8th because we're talking about ballot curing. So they're missing all those traditional things from their family. And I must tell you, I came down here because I'm so proud to be a part of Unite here and have folks do that, because that sacrifice you can't buy. So that's who they are. Second, we're doing it sort of the old-fashioned way. We go door to door. I was out yesterday walking precinct. Now in Georgia, you have absentee ballots. Early voting starts today for 3 weeks, and then you have election day. And so we are talking to voters. This is not a persuasion election. This is a turnout election. People have already made up their minds. The reason why I think our efforts are so important here, along with other groups, I want to be very clear. We're humbled here. Stacey Abrams, Fair Fight, the New Georgia Project, Black PAC, Mi Gente, all those folks set the table. We wouldn't be here without their efforts in the general election. We're here to help and try to push it over the edge. But people are inundated with mail and TV and all that, and they're sort of tuned out. What they're not tuned out to is when you knock on the door and actually have a dialogue. I have to say, I've worked in a lot of different areas. I'm from the South originally. People are very polite here. They're very nice, and they're very happy that you're doing it, which is a little bit different than, we haven't had guns pulled on us like certainly we had in Nevada and Arizona. We haven't had an intentional dog sick on us, but people are very appreciative. They are very focused and very politically in tune about what's at stake. And they know the two current senators don't give a hoot about the average person. When you hit the doors here too, you hear people, they're real life concerns. Their unemployment's running out. They're worried about evictions. They're worried about healthcare. People with pre-existing conditions who now are rationing medicine because their healthcare has been cut off. So this has real applicability to everyday life. And at the same time, they are very proud of the fact that they elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And they want to sustain that victory in the most difficult situation with COVID, with the holiday season, and with sort of, election fatigue overall.
What percentage of the people, you knock on a door, what percentage of people come to the door and will talk to you?
Usually when you're doing canvassing, your contact rate is about 7 or 8%. The contact rate here is over 30%. Now, that has to do with two factors. One, COVID has economically knocked people out of work or reduced their hours. So you get people at home. The other reason is because of the lack of schools being open, people have juggled their schedules. So one parent is at home often with their children when they're trying to learn online or something, which, for example, I was hitting doors the other day. There are swaths of area in and around Atlanta that don't have broadband. So people are getting in their cars and driving 20 minutes close to a library to get on the internet for their kids' school. That's the kind of thing. Some hospitals have closed right in the middle of the pandemic. So we're talking about obviously national issues, but we're also talking about local issues about how this has to change.
And people want to talk is what I'm hearing from you.
Absolutely. They want to talk. They also are enthusiastic. It's funny. I thought they would be, sort of, not at all. They're enthusiastic. They want to win. They know it's close. And they know it's up to them. At the same time, we ask them, what's their plan to vote? Do they have their absentee ballot? No. Are you going to early vote? Yes. Where are you going to early vote? When are you going to early vote? How are you getting there? We're very specific because people always need a plan, because whether the weather's crummy, whether you don't quite know where the early voting sites, as you know, they have reduced those in Cobb County. We expect more voter suppression, if at all possible, with the Republicans in this state. So but people, and they also like talking. When you turn it on the TV, somebody's at you or talking at you or their mail piece. But when you're at the door, you're talking to people and you get to answer their questions. And if you don't know the answers, you go back to them the next day and tell them.
People are inundated with ads there. And understand, these are people that are in a battleground state, Georgia, and so they were inundated through November 3rd.
Right.
So now they're inundated from November 3rd until January 5th, where they're seeing nothing but political ads. So they just want to just do everything they can not to see a political ad. So that's why this ground game is the game now.
Well, I agree. The thing that makes me a little bit sorrowful is we had advocated that you could do this safely. I am firmly convinced if more people in the Democratic Party had taken us up on that, I think we would have won at least 10 or 12 additional House seats. And I think we could have had a real chance of flipping the Senate. Now, the horse is out of the barn, as the saying goes. So we want to make sure that what the efforts we do here in Georgia bring home a victory. And I tell everybody, all you can do is every single day you look in the mirror and say, did I give it my all? And, my mother from the South used to say, D, honey, to thine own self be true. And I've been telling that to every canvasser. You got to look at yourself in the mirror every day. Every day now is election day because it's early voting. And if you can look in the mirror and say, I gave it my all, that's all you can ask anybody in any endeavor they do. I'm so proud and convinced that our folks are doing that. I mean, I was with this woman yesterday. She's from Philadelphia. She came down. She's not going back to Philly for Christmas. And she's staying through, and she's telling me she's laid off from the stadium. She's doing incredible work. She said she got inspired to come to Atlanta because in 2018, she got sent to Las Vegas when we flipped that Senate seat with Rosen. She sort of got the bug. And so then she worked in the Philadelphia campaign, and now she's in Atlanta. And this was a stadium worker, mother of 4 who wants to make a difference. And those are the type of people that really are the unsung heroes that no one ever focuses on, and they're the difference. I've always kind of make an analogy. The generals and the admirals get all the attention, but it's the soldiers and the sailors who make those folks successful or not successful. Never can forget that. And the minute you do that, you're way off base.
Let me ask you about, you say Philadelphia. Your presence in Pennsylvania was focused on Philadelphia?
Yes, totally focused on Philadelphia and turnout.
And how did you do?
Well, we we weren't planning on doing Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, but we got quite worried about the lack of ground game in Philadelphia in particular. We think that was one of the reasons why Clinton lost in 2016. So October 1st, we had 200 people on the ground, and then we upped that to 500. And we were in communities of color, brown and black, really focused in on turnout. Now, Philadelphia, even though they had some early voting, that's election day culture. And just factually, Philadelphia actually turned out bigger in this year than they did even in 2008 for Obama. And we feel very good about our efforts in those communities that had not voted in 2016. In fact, we did the breakdown between Nevada, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. We accounted for 124,000 people who were eligible to vote, did not vote in 2016, but voted in 20. So that's one statistic. And then, we had over 400,000 people between those 3 states who we had focused in, who were infrequent voters who actually voted. So we feel good about all those numbers. We fell short in Florida, but we view Florida as a long-term project, just like we did Nevada and Arizona. And we're now very interested in Pennsylvania too.
How many are on the ground in Georgia? How many of your members?
We have 600.
And is there room for more, or are we kind of, that's it?
The only thing that's holding us back is just resources, finances. I mean, bluntly, Al, you've been tremendous. You were the first person to contribute to Nevada under our PAC, and you were the first person for Georgia. That has been extremely helpful because
now everyone should know this isn't actually my money. It's my personal money. It's my political action committee. So I'm a generous guy, but I just don't want to have people think like, Jesus, Al's rich.
No, it's all right. But
he must be so rich. Jesus. No, this is my PAC.
And we set up our PAC, Take Back 2020, which anybody can go to, and there's a way to donate. It's just resources.
You still can use the resources. You still can get some more people in there. This will make a difference. This is going to be incredibly close, right?
Right. We are really having a final push, even additional people we want between December 26th and January 5th. So we're viewing those 2 weeks as a whole nother. If we can get another 200 people here in additional, that will be great. That would put us around 700-800 people on the ground. And this is, like I said, this is not a persuasion. This is turnout. And no one should assume because they've seen 100 commercials that people are going to turn out. This is.
I think every commercial means less turnout. I would imagine that if you're watching football and you see a friggin' commercial for Purdue, especially, or Leffler, or, by the way, when we were on that Zoom fundraiser that we did, I did come up with door knock for Warnock.
Yes, you did.
But you guys are door knocking for both, so it really isn't an operative. It doesn't really help, does it? But it's good. It's like I'm good with words.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying we have a whole nother push between the day after Christmas through January 5th. We're keeping people here for ballot curing too, if need be, through the 8th, because just like we did in Nevada and Arizona, sometimes there's a problem and you have some time to cure the ballot. So you have to go to the person, cure it, get it back to the election.
Explain what that is. Explain what curing a ballot is.
So this comes about with mail-in ballots or absentee ballots. Let's say that they have a problem with the signature or they have a problem with the address. They will list that as a problem. They'll identify it. Now, theoretically, they're supposed to contact that voter about that, but we particularly are not too optimistic due to the volume of that or for whatever reason in Georgia. So we go to that person and say, listen, John, or listen, Maria, or listen, Jorge, this is a problem with your ballot. You need to do this. And they have to do that. And what we found is people want to do it because they've already taken the actual active thing of voting. They didn't realize there was a problem. And because this is going to be a close election, we think every vote counts. So ballot
Boy, do I know that.
Important.
I won by 312 my first election. So I know it can get to that. I mean, it really can. We did this very thing. We would get votes by someone's signature didn't match their signature when they registered, and it'd be because they had a stroke between when they registered and this election. Or one of my favorites was we had a young man who filled out his absentee. You had to have a witness in Minnesota. The mother was going to sign as a witness, but she looked at his signature and said, "Wait a minute, what's that?" And he goes, "That's my signature." She goes, No, you can't turn this in. It's not neat enough. So he had to get another ballot. Penmanship was very important to her. So his signature didn't match when he had registered. So that was kicked out, but we got that vote. So otherwise it would have won by 311. Okay, so at the door, you're telling folks the rules. In the special, people can vote early, and they can vote absentee too, right?
Here, as compared to some other states, you have to have your absentee ballot in by election day. It can't be postmarked, let's say, the day before the election on election and still be counted. It has to be in by election day. And so we're really talking to people who requested the absentee ballots to get them in, and obviously don't even attempt to mail them after the 29th of December. But we're really trying to get those done. That's part of going door to door. Don't wait, get it in. Oh, you don't have an absentee ballot, then let's go early vote. And there's 3 weeks of early voting, which is a long time for early voting. Now, some of it is broken up here because of Christmas Eve and Christmas. But all that being said, we're saying every day now is election day, and we have to win every day. Historically, if we do really well on early voting, the Republicans usually win on election day. So we really know we have to really focus in this early voting and get the absentee ballots in order to have the best chance of winning here.
Well, according to Trump, of course, he actually won. Not just on election day, but he really won. There was all that fraud, of course.
Well, I mean, all I have to say is that guy is delusional.
He might just not be delusional. He might just be evil. Have you ever thought about that?
Oh, yeah. No, he's that too. No,
I know, it's both. Yeah. Oh, my God. Well, we got to get... Now, the stakes here, I think my listeners know. The stakes here are control of the Senate. And control of the Senate is almost, it's hard to exaggerate what that means. Because what it means is, first of all, confirming his nominees for all these positions in the administration and ambassadors, etc. But it also means judges, of course. And let's say, Justice Breyer wants to retire. And if we don't have 50, McConnell can do it again. He can pull a Merrick Garland. And then there's the entire agenda. So we're talking about any legislation we want to pass, a public option, police reform, making the tax code fairer. It's everything. The stakes here are just remarkably high, and it's all focused on January 5th. It's all comes down to that. And there have been so many people through this entire last 2 years who have been just working so hard to make sure that Trump wasn't reelected, but also elect people down ballot. And that was disappointing. This is the chance. This is the last chance. This is the finish line. And I just beg people, don't get 2 inches from the finish line and go like, I'm exhausted. Oh, boy. I've given different Senate races I contributed to. We lost, and I'm just kind of disappointed. Don't do that. There, I'm going to stop saying that. I'm going to stop that. That was my last one.
Well, I'll just make a sports analogy. If you're in the Super Bowl and you're in overtime, do you quit? Or if you're in the 7th game of the World Series, you go to extra innings, you go, well, I'm just tired. Now, I'm sort of done. Of course not. I mean, this is when you got to look inside yourself and dig deep and, pull that strength from your core values and principles. And yeah, we were all disappointed on some elections. We were jubilant about getting rid of Trump. But if we want to make real change, we've got to try to control the Senate in every way possible. You know that better than anybody, Al. But at the end of the day, let's not quit in overtime or quit in extra innings. That's when you got to pour it on. I mean, we've all seen winners. I mean, whether you like Tom Brady or not, when it comes to the very end and the game's on the line, he's always done pretty well. Or right now, Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs. I'm just using some football because it's football season, but you all get the idea. You don't give up or you don't let up when you got a chance to win here.
Yeah, Tom Brady just beat the Vikings. Anyway, so yeah, don't quit. So, okay, well, I'll let you get back to work, I guess, huh?
Yep, we're having a 10 o'clock meetup because it's the first day of early voting. We're hitting the doors. I cannot thank you enough. Your support has been tremendous. Anybody who's listening, if you want to help out, please do. We're going to keep on battling. And if a laid-off housekeeper who has come to Atlanta from Philadelphia or from Arizona can keep on battling, I think we all owe ourselves to keep on fighting too.
Yeah, there are a lot of great things to give to over this holiday season. Certainly, I've been encouraging people to give to food banks, etc. Those of us who are fortunate enough to sort of ride out this COVID thing and not be hit financially as so many of your members have been, hope that you can be generous in so many different ways. But this one is the legislation that we could pass if we have 50 will, be thousands and thousands and thousands of times more important than what we individually can do. Thank you for the work you've been doing all this cycle and before. God bless you and good luck. God bless us all. And let's hope that January 5th is a day to celebrate.
Thank you so much. Please stay safe over the holidays and stay close to the ones you love, because it becomes more important as we see every day the tragedy that unfolds with so many people inflicted with COVID. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dee. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening. That beautiful music is by Leo Kottke, the great Leo Kottke. I want to thank Peter Ogburn for producing this podcast. We'll talk again next week.